Oi, this is the Profanity Gnome, and I'm here to tell you that if you're under 13 years old, fuck off this video! Get the fuck off YouTube! Get your mama to get your dad's cock out of her ears and actually be a parent! This is for adults only! And for everybody else, enjoy the video. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below what you think, you fuck buckets. To stand out among the crowd, even if I gotta shout out loud, till mine is the only face that you see. Gonna stand out till you notice me. Engage contacts! Move, move, move! Crap, the math was off. Hey, Deadbeard, can you see about getting that boss door open? We'll hold the line here. Oh, sure, right. Blame the dead ghost pirate. I didn't say that. You're implying it. Ooh! Ow! Alan, get off! Your butt is crushing me!
Well, why couldn't we go through the front door like normal people?
Alan, did you have a gem sona in your pocket? This is the Shadow War, Part 1. The episode picks up where the last episode left off. The boys have moved back into their houseboat with Donald, and they're miserable, but that's to be expected. They just found out that their great uncle that they really liked had been lying to them about the origins of their mother and where she had gone. Webby does her best to try to make things happy during the transition, and Donald does his best to try to cheer up the boys as well, and show, yeah, things can go back to normal. Yay! Life of adventures being taken away in favor of fish and crackers. Donald, I know you're trying, but now's not the time. We cut back to the McDuck Manor as Evelina, being possessed by Aunt Magica, wants to use an evil potion to stop Scrooge in her tracks, in order to get the dime and do whatever evil scheme that she has concocted. But before she can even get in, she makes an unfortunate discovery. Webby and the children are gone, so her in-way ticket to get in is also gone. But this isn't going to stop her when she's so close to finishing her plans. So using her silver tongue, she manages to gain entry for the epic final battle between herself and Scrooge, and Scrooge really let himself go. Yeah, this is not the big heroic creature of valor and honor that she had been building up since her inception. Yeah, this is definitely not what she wanted. Greetings, everybody. I am MOLDAVITE. Hi, we're the Gens. Looks like Alan's been holding out on us.
What do you mean? I didn't hold out anything.
Well, you never did tell us that you had a gem sona in your pocket.
I just found a shiny rock in a cave. I didn't know it was a gem sona.
Ah, so you were holding out on us.
No, that's not what it meant. I didn't know it meant anything. It's just a gemstone in a cave.
Oh, the inner pirate in me is so proud of you.
It's not like that.
How did you end up in our friend's pocket? I'm not entirely sure myself. I was just minding my own business, serving the great homeworld, when all of a sudden a big red and blue corrupted gem just fell out of the sky and landed on me and poofed me. Now I don't know exactly how I got here, but I do know one thing. You're the one who protected me, right? How could I ever repay you for all you've done?
Oh, it was nothing, really. MOLDAVITE, was it? Yeah, it was nothing.
Oh, I smell a ship. No.
So we return to the houseboat as the kids are throwing away literally everything that reminds them of Scrooge. All of their trophies that they collected over the time. They are very upset, and it is very noticeable to everybody. Even Donald takes notice of how much his nephews are hurting. Which, I'm not even going to say his nephews, they're his kids, they're his sons. Because at this point, I don't think calling him Uncle Donald does it justice. Those are his sons. But this depression of theirs is also noticed by Webby and Launchpad, And while they perfectly understand, they try to think of ways to get the boys to feel better. Something more in the long term. But that long term is cut short as Donald reveals that they're going to be moving to Cape Cusset? The Tailspin show. They're moving to Tailspin, which causes Webby and Launchpad to start freaking out. They don't want their friends to move. I don't even think Launchpad has other friends, let alone Webby, who we know definitely doesn't have any other friends. So, after freaking out, they decide to work together in order to try to trick the boys into staying by having a We Miss Scrooge party disguised as a Bon Voyage party. Well, that's the plan anyway. Meanwhile, Scrooge is coping with Aunt Magica doing something. Yeah, Aunt Magica is perfectly in denial about this. She realizes that this creature in front of her isn't Scrooge. This can't be Scrooge. This is the man who defeated her. This is the man who made her a shadow. How the fuck did he fall so far? Unless it's a trick. Yeah, it has to be a trick, a trap. She knows that he knows that she's doing something and he's pulling a poor me ploy to put her off her guard. Yeah, that must be it, right? Because, you know, someone just can't suffer from loss. Yeah, that definitely must be it.
So this is a solid stone door with no hinges. Too bad I didn't bring my dynamite.
I could always knock it down with a supersized fist.
Guys, come on. Sometimes piracy is more of an art form than a science.
Wow, Alan, your friends are certainly quirky.
Quirky is a interesting word to describe them. More like a pain in the butt.
Oh, but they seem so nice.
Yeah, their quirkiness has led to a lot of problems. I mean, we fought in a war with a giant beehive. We've took down several robots. We fought in a frog-scorpion war. Heck, we beat up Daleks! Freaking Daleks!
Yes, but you all look like such individuals, and yet you all seem to be able to take kindly to each other. Not like Homeworld. Homeworld, they tend to be angry at you when you're different.
What the Sam hell was that?
Plot development?
Well, we cut back to the boys, as the boys are kind of on edge about going to Tailspin rather than staying in Duckburg. I mean, when you really think about it, with all the adventures they've been on, going to just Tailspin kind of seems like a downgrade. But Dewey is all in on it, whether it's denial or not. But before they even get a chance to talk about it, they're slipped a message about Webby and Launchpad's plan about their goodbye dinner. And when they responded, yeah, sure, why not? They were super excited. Now they just had to invite Scrooge as a please forgive and forget and move past it thing. But unfortunately, Magica stole the phone and answered for him, doing a perfect impersonation to trick them into thinking that Scrooge isn't coming. So, Lena, or Magica, simply poured the potion into some coffee while Scrooge was being pathetic. But she did manage to give him a cup for about 2 seconds. But it seems as though Scrooge isn't really interested in anything. Like any emotion in his life is gone. That is, until he found 3 specifically colored marbles. We also see that Scrooge has been, the only time he's had any emotion so far, is reacting to these 3 marbles. It's pretty clear he misses the boys. He wants them to come back, but his Scottish pride is too stubborn to beg forgiveness, and he can't force them to be there. So ultimately, he sits on a throne of pizza boxes. Well, we cut back to the houseboat, as Webby and Launchpad have done everything in their power to try to get the boys hyper excited to possibly stay in Duckburg while trying to put on the disguise. But it's clear that all their efforts were kind of failing because Webby and Launchpad really didn't think this through. But before long, the cavalry arrived. Yes, Mrs. Beakley. At first it looked like she was going to shame Webby and Launchpad and get him into trouble, but as it turns out, she is not. She is 100% on their side. And she is not only in full support, but she's going to help them, because she's a secret agent and a grandmother. No one knows how to weaponize guilt like one of those.
Moldy, did you make this asteroid come out of your chest? Careful, usually the asteroids are still hot.
So wait a minute. You have the power to manifest asteroids?
You want me to what now?
We want you to use your asteroid power to destroy the door, and possibly spam a little bit more after that.
Well, it doesn't really work that way. I usually have to be shocked or surprised or... Yeep!
Well, we cut back to Magica and Scrooge as she's still trying to get him to swallow the potion to make him weak. But Scrooge is, again, back in his little funk, now that the emotions of the three boys have passed, and proceeds to dump the potion once again. And this is when Magica finally realizes it's not an act. He's actually become this pathetic. And she is angry that she makes him feel bad about him. And so she gives him the much needed pep talk that he needs. He's Scrooge fucking McDuck. He doesn't need them. And Scrooge begins to latch on to this concept. Not only does he not need them, but he doesn't need anyone or anything. He doesn't need the vault. He doesn't need his clothes. He doesn't need his fancy house or his wealth. He's Scrooge McDuck. He doesn't need anything except for his number one dime. But when Magica starts questioning about that, Scrooge begins to question her. But now that Magica has pretty much run out of time to get the dime, she essentially attacks Scrooge while his guard is down, kicks him in the nuts, and manages to get the dime just in the nick of time. As the eclipse has fully emerged, she grabs the dime where we finally get to see why it's so special. Magica is on it. And using her built-up power, she manages to release her body from the dime's tomb. Magica has returned. And now she seeks vengeance. Vengeance for being imprisoned for so long. And only Scrooge can satisfy that thirst. And so she captures her, as well as Lena. Well, we cut back to the houseboat, as Mrs. Beakley is already working her charms on making the boys feel guilty about their relationship with Scrooge and how rocky it is, trying to give things from his perspective as she begins to sway the boys. While this is happening, though, Magica is just gloating that she's got her body back. And Scrooge begins his own interrogation of Lena. How could you do this? You betrayed me. What happened? Well, Lena makes Scrooge feel a little bad for her, as you can't pick your family, but you could pick your friends. And his family is awesome compared to hers. Scrooge says that, well, I'll forgive you, and if you can help me out, you can have a place among my family. But Magica's like, yeah, no. And sadly, Lena gets absorbed back into the Shadow Realm, becoming Magica's shadow once again. But Magica's not done there. She also uses her magic to trap Scrooge in his own lucky dime. Ooh, things are looking dire now. And the only thing that could save us now is Mrs. Beakley convincing the boys. Most of the boys, 2 out of 3, already feel bad enough. But then Donald throws his 2 cents in, saying, no, this family has been divided for too long. Too long because of Della. We need to finally forgive and move past it all. For him, for Donald, most of the boys managed to forgive and forget and were ready to move on. And Dewey, even though it took him the longest, decided, yeah, time to forgive and forget. And just in the nick of time too. As with one big explosion occurring, Magica has made her grand entrance for the finale. And that
was the Shadow War.
Part 1. Now, of course, an episode like this needed to happen. An episode where the boys are still processing the emotions of what's the bombshell that Scrooge dropped about their mom, as well as Scrooge processing the fact that he's back to being a sad, lonely old man just sitting in his house of wealth, without any family around him. Of course, an episode like this had to happen after such a massive bombshell last time. But if there was any problems with this setup at all, and again, this is a massive nitpick, I would definitely say it happened a little bit too quickly as far as resolution. The resolution just kind of happened like all at once. Like, I know they tried to do a little bit of Dewey being in more self-denial than the others, because he seemed to be the most attached to the Della mystery. But again, it felt a little bit like they were just kind of rushing it along. Not that I blame them, since this is the second to last episode of the season, and of course it had to be rushed. But I would have said like maybe one episode in between before they finally forgave Scrooge, but that's neither here nor there. And considering that this isn't exactly Steven Universe where they have to spend like 4 or 5 episodes trying to get over their problems, I can definitely see why they just decided to just say, okay, here's everything you need, just move past it, there's bigger shit to do. And it made it more believable that Donald, as well as Mrs. Beakley, were the ones to convince the boys that they needed to buckle down and just forgive Scrooge because it was beyond his control and there were 2 sides to every story. He just did a pretty shitty job explaining the fallout of what happened to him afterward and what he did. Which, again, it was all about their mom. As far as Scrooge goes, yeah, this kind of makes sense. Like, he's just lost his family all over again, and he has no support system this time. Like, I can see Mrs. Beakley being there for Scrooge when Della first disappeared, but now that the boys were gone and she was on the boys' side in this case, yeah, he had no one. If anything, it took his arch nemesis supervillain Magica to finally snap him out of his funk. And yeah, it's kind of funny how, like, the only thing that seemed to be driving him was his memories of his loss of the boys, even making pizza boxes shrines to them. But again, that was just sad. Just a sad old man who needed to buck up. And it took Magica, someone who had no investment in him except as an adversary or rival, to get him to snap out of it. Other than that, it would take the boys coming back, but I doubt he would just let him back in without saying something on the lines of, "Oh, so you came crawling back to me, did ya? Missed the fancy house and the bedroom." You know that would have happened. Somebody that was outside of Scrooge's family had to be the one to snap him out of it, and it took someone like Lena, who experienced his family from the outside looking in, to tell Scrooge exactly what he was allowing to just give up, and he needed to fight for them. And strangely enough, I was a little bit more invested in that than I was in Magica returning. But again, this was a massive deal throughout the entire season, so of course I was invested in that as well. And when Magica finally revealed herself in her new generation Ducktales 2017 full-bodied glory, oh, there was just one thing on my mind. She's green. Why'd they make her green? I mean, I guess it makes her more evil looking because lime green is evil to Disney. If something is lime green and is Disney, it's evil. And she's the greenest they come. And even though what happened with Lena is definitely worst case scenario to happen to her, I don't imagine that she'll be gone forever. They're gonna bring her back somehow. She's way too close to Webby. Unless they wanted to go through a lost arc. You know, like Webby grieving the loss of her friend. That would be a great idea for Season 2, but enough about that. It's time for the ultimate battle between the McDucks and Magica in the next season finale. Who will win? Who will triumph? Probably the McDucks. But regardless, we will see how the McDucks will triumph next time. Until then, we're the Cartoon Gentlemen. We organized your chaos. Stay tuned for the finale.
Huh. Okay. So, using asteroids to knock down a stone door in a cave may have been a bad idea. Well, hindsight's 20/20, right? There y'all are! I will not have you leave me on the sidelines again!
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. It's a cave-in! What?
Get down!
To stand out
Among the crowd,
Even if I gotta shout out loud, till mine is the only face that you see. Gonna stand out.
till you notice me.